How are you? My name is Alice Munyua. I am a nurse practitioner, and we are still continuing on our talk about suicidal thoughts and suicidal prevention. If you haven't watched my last two videos on suicidal thoughts and suicidal prevention, please go back and watch them. And now we're going to dig deeper and see where these bad thoughts really come from and how they get underneath our skin. Let's talk about suicidal thoughts, obsessive thoughts, compulsive thoughts, intrusive thoughts, commanding thoughts, the thoughts that tell you to go kill yourself, and sometimes you can almost feel as if you're hearing voices, those kind of things, destructive thoughts. How do they get at our skin, and why aren't we able to choose them? So when you see this, spiritually, something has gone wrong. Something has gone wrong for the devil to get under your skin and be able to command your mind and make you do things that you don't want to do. One of the causes of suicidal thoughts, the serious kind, is coming from depression. Most people say it's depression, but really depression is just a symptom of something else. So depression is not the cause of suicidal thoughts. Suicidal thoughts is the cause of depression. And that's where somebody is really having bad thoughts, sad thoughts, and they feel that they've lost hope, they feel helpless, they don't feel worthy of life anymore, and so they kill themselves. But 54% of people who commit suicide, according to statistics, have no history of mental illness. They don't have any history of depression. They don't have, there's no warning signs. So where does that come from? So we see depression is one of them, and we've already talked about that. Hopelessness, helplessness, and worthlessness, but that's not the main cause of suicide. And as time goes, you will understand, as I continue to explain, you will understand where these thoughts are coming from and why they keep increasing. Well, one of the places that I think they're coming from is because we've broken the 10 Commandments. One of the 10 Commandments says that you shall not worship any other gods. And the way the trend is going, we are worshiping other gods, and we are not worshiping the Most High. To tell you the truth, I don't even think, as we start today, 2019, I don't even think we know the name of the Most High God. Most people don't. So the worship of many gods. There's Freemasonry, which can be found in every country, every area of society. Greek letter organizations. Have we ever looked at the contracts and the oaths that we have to say when we commit to this Greek letter organization? Most of the time, we are pledging alliance to a deity or a Greek god. Those are the other gods that the Most High told us not to worship. Yoga. Where does yoga come from? Yoga is worship. And yoga comes from the Hindu religion. And Hindu, they make no secrets about it. They do worship many gods. So when we do yoga, that is a spiritual path. We are actually doing every pose, every song that people sing is worship. And most people don't realize that. Meditation. When we do chanting, that's a spiritual path. With yoga, there are different types of yoga. The one I'm familiar with is Kundalini yoga. That is a serious spiritual path. And there's many different types of yoga. Yoga is not even one of the most serious ones. There is others that some of them I can't even pronounce, like Vishuddhi yoga. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And they say that takes somebody with somebody who is mature spiritually to be able to handle the things that come with that. So we find that people are worshiping, they are on these spiritual paths, and they really have no guidance. There is also hypnosis. I know hypnosis has come back. People are doing hypnotherapy, but it's still, and they are licensed to do it, but it's still very controversial. Why is it controversial? Because somebody can send you a subliminal message. And when they put you in that trance, when they hypnotize you, they can speak directly to your subconscious mind bypassing your willpower. So they can put things in your mind, and those things can come back and harm you and affect you. You know, when they do that and they speak to your subconscious mind, they can plant ideas there, they can plant seeds, and you can become a zombie, and you can follow direction. Whatever it is that they told you to do, you will do it. And there's actually a case, I think it was in the People magazine, of 3 kids who were hypnotized by their teacher. I think it was the principal. And they all died. Within a period of 2 months, they all committed suicide. They never had any mental illness. But the one thing they had in common is they got hypnotized by one of their teachers. And the idea was that he was trying to make them get good grades. He was going to make suggestions to their subconscious minds so they can pass SAT. I think that's what they were preparing for. And I remember this was done too to me when I was in college. Our teacher hypnotized us so we can get good grades in school. For me, when she did it, I fell asleep. Instead of being put in a trance, I fell asleep, and I wasn't supposed to do that, but I fell asleep. Now, knowing what it is, I would never let anybody hypnotize me. Because what they are doing is, it's like you're giving them the key to your house, to go in your house and rearrange furniture, sweep your house. You only can do that with a trusted person. So if you're going to do that, make sure you know who's doing it. Just don't let anybody to have access to your mind, because they can direct your mind in whichever way they want to. And you know, wherever the mind goes, the body follows. So the devil is in everything. Told you that he has many tools of trade. He uses the television these days. He uses movies. He uses our cell phones. I can almost guarantee you the devil lives in our cell phones. And you know, what are we doing with our cell phones? We are giving our kids cell phones when they are really young. We are giving our kids cell phones to play with as if they are toys. And when a kid is even age 6, 7, they already know how to operate. They know how to go on YouTube, and they can just go lock themselves in a room and start on a spiritual path, and you won't even know it. And they don't have any guidance to be able to do stuff like that. There is nobody, they don't have a master who is guiding them on these spiritual paths, and they can get in a ton of trouble. So when we pick religion, and that's why I'm talking about the New Age spirituality, but let me talk about religion for a minute. It all depends on how many gods you want to worship. If you want to worship a ton of gods, you become a Hindu. Or you become, you follow the Himalayan religion, or you become a Buddhist. If you want to worship one God, you can be a Muslim, you can be a Jehovah's Witness, you can be a Mormon, you can be a genetic balling Christian. That's what the New Age or the young people are thinking. Or you can join the New Age movement, which is more exciting because they talk about these spiritual paths, and they tell you that there are many ways to God, or to what you call God. So that's the thing, and they make it look exciting and all that. But also, they're also trying to combine religions, because I know there is this movement to combine Muslim, Christianity, and Judaism. Well, there is something in Judaism. They say that they worship one God, but there is a sect of their spirituality which is called the Kabbalah, which looks at how God relates to nature and the study of the cosmos, the moon, the sun, the stars. And years ago, you had to be a man to actually be able to access this part of spirituality. You had to be a Jew, you had to be a man, and you had to be 40 years old. Well, today, they have opened this up to everybody. Now, everybody, all they have to do is have interest in these things, and they can be educated on that spiritual path. And so you find young people calling themselves star seeds, that they belong to a different dimension, and they're talking about they are here on a mission. And I'm telling you, the devil can lie. And if you don't have any spiritual discernment, you will get tricked. I always say, weak Christians become casualties. If there are also people who don't believe in God, you know, atheists, Scientologists, that is still a spiritual path. Just because you don't believe in God, And if you don't believe in God, you really don't believe in the devil either, and the devil likes that. He wants you to not believe in him. But that does not mean that he'll leave you alone. He will still use you. So either way, whether you believe in the devil or you don't, you're still on a spiritual path, because human beings are spiritual beings. And if you don't know, if you're going to access a spiritual path without the correct tools, without the correct guidance, you can actually find yourself in a hospital with mental illness. You can find yourself mentally unstable, or you could find yourself dead. It's that simple. So spirituality without the right tools can kill you. You also open yourself up to spiritual oppression, spiritual harassment, which is really, really bad. And I'll tell you about spiritual harassment when I talk about psychosis. I actually have a personal testimony about that. You can also expose yourself to spiritual warfare when you access spiritual paths without proper guidance. There's also another cause of suicidal thoughts is fantasy. I told you about the star seeds, and thinking that you belong to a different dimension, and you've been linked. I don't even know what they talk about. Really, there's a lot of fantasy that goes along with that. And some people, if their life here on earth sucks, they want to die. They want to die so they can go to their star, wherever star they came from, or be born again and maybe have a better life the next time they come. So there is that fantasy, and it's all coming up with the New Age spirituality. And another thing, there is also murder. I do believe this with all my heart, that some people are getting killed and it's being made to look like suicide. There is also that going on. So New Age spirituality is really not New Age. It's actually very old spirituality. It's so old as it's old as Babylon itself. You remember Babylon and the Tower of Babel? That is the Tower of Babylon. It started in Babylon, and then it went, after people's languages were confused, it went to Egypt, it went to India, it went to ancient Greece, it went to ancient Rome, and it's here in our world today. So what do you do? If this stuff is already here with us, what do we do? To know what to do and to know the right tools to use, join me next week for the conclusion of suicidal ideation and suicidal behaviors.